Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone for a little bit, but I was really busy traveling for the past about month or so. So I'm finally back, finally settled back into my room. I got back yesterday, so I unpacked and I did all my laundry and stuff. So I just wanted to sit down and make a video because yesterday I wrote a post about how I've been emotionally and spiritually just feeling really stuck with my life. But I didn't really talk about physically how I've been in terms of eating disorder stuff, and I've been getting a lot of questions too, kind of about my body and things, which we'll get into in a bit. But that's why I just wanted to sit down and make this video, because I felt like it was something really important for me to talk about with you guys and share my experiences with. So the first thing is that I have been struggling on and off with binge eating for the past, 5 years, maybe 6 years. And it obviously comes and goes in cycles. I would have maybe a month where I didn't binge, and then I would start binge eating again. And I would go maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and then it would come back and I couldn't stop. And it was really frustrating for me. Anyone who's dealt with binging or binge eating disorder would know that struggle and understand it. For me, at first, it was definitely rooted in that restriction and that the disordered eating, but then eventually it became just an emotional thing where I would just snap and lose control all of a sudden. And part of it was hormonal, and I feel like a lot of us tend to have that compulsive eating behavior anyway, because we're used to just eating in front of the TV or eating while we're doing other things, and then before you know it, you've eaten more than you meant to. And so a lot of that plays a role, I think, in my personal issues with binge eating. But yeah, so it has been 102 days since I've actually binge eaten. And that doesn't mean I haven't overeaten, sometimes I've gone out to eat with friends and ate past the point of fullness, but I don't consider that a binge, obviously. For me, binging stems from that lack of control where I cannot stop eating, or I cannot get myself to stop eating, or I don't want to stop eating. And I haven't experienced that for the past 102 days, which is a really big milestone for me. I didn't think that that was possible, but when I think about the past almost over 3 months now, over 3 months, I actually can kind of see where things shifted and changed for me, and I just wanted to share my perspective on that with you guys. Another thing that a lot of people have been saying to me is that I've lost a lot of weight, and for the record, I don't really pay attention to my weight that much. I mean, I have checked it from time to time, but for me personally, it's not something I've been focusing on for the past 3 months. And I think that also plays a role into why I haven't been binge eating. So physically, yes, I have dropped some weight, but I'm still within a healthy range for myself, and I didn't get here in an unhealthy way. I think that what was holding my body at a certain set point or weight was the fact that I was binge eating, because no matter how much you restrict or maintain after that, you're still binging all the time, and that's still a surplus, and that's still keeping you bloated and at a certain weight. And I'm not saying to stop binge eating so that you can lose weight. That's really not the point of this message, but I do think that contributes again to why I dropped a lot of weight over the past 3 months, is because I've been consistently nourishing myself and consistently have stuck with eating within a reasonable amount, and my activity level has obviously increased because it's summer, and that happens during the summer when it's nice out, but I haven't consciously changed it a ton. I mean, I'm not running that much more. I'm running more frequently, if anything, but my mileage is pretty much the same as it was during the winter. So those are just some things to keep in mind as I'm talking. Another thing I want to talk about is dieting, which again, I haven't done. You all know what my philosophy about eating is. Eat real food, mostly plants. So I have a pretty almost fully plant-based diet. I really mostly avoid meat and dairy. And I really do believe in eating things that make you feel good, but also bring you some joy, whether that's because you're eating with friends or whether that's just because you want to eat something yummy that day, whatever. So I don't believe in dieting. I don't believe in, eating to manipulate how you look. I think that if you're eating to feel good, then your body will respond however it's meant to, but I don't think that we should force our bodies to be something that it's not. So that's all just information I want to put out there for you guys as you kind of listen to what I have to say. But as I said, I think that a reason why my body has changed so much in the past 3 months is because I have not been binge eating. And I have a quick disclaimer. I was going through a period of stress about a month into not having binge eating issues, and that was because I was stressed from studying for the NCLEX, and so I did lose some weight from that too. But I think if that were the sole reason why I had lost weight, I would have gained it back by now, which I haven't. I went back to my normal eating after that because I wasn't stressed anymore, obviously, and my body has stayed the same. So that's another thing to kind of throw out there. Sorry, I know this video is going to be all over the place, but I still hope it's helpful for some of you. So anyway, I think that a large part of why I don't struggle as much with binge eating anymore is because of my emotional coping skills and just where I am. May was a really hard month for me. So just for context, the last time I binged that I have recorded is April 29th or 30th, so right at the tail end of April. And May was a month of great celebration and great loss for me. The beginning of May was all about finishing school up and celebrating the fact that I was a senior, and so I was just soulfully very, very satisfied and filled with joy because I was moving on to a really great chapter in my life. My boyfriend was getting baptized and there were just amazing things happening, and I think that really touches upon the concept of primary and secondary food, which I've heard kind of tossed around in the health community, and I personally don't buy into it to the extent that I think that it's the truth, but I do understand how people came up with that concept. So primary food or secondary food, I forget which one is which, but one is what we feed our souls, how satisfied and fulfilled we are in our lives, our hobbies, our interests, our relationships, and then when that's full, when that's happy, when that is just really dynamic in everyday life, then we have less of a tendency to go for that secondary food or whichever, like that physical food, that physical craving or need to eat. And that's not to say that, if you're not hungry, then you just shouldn't eat. But I think when it comes down to overeating and cravings, I think that a lot of that stems from that feeling of, I'm not feeling as fulfilled in parts of my life. And the best example I can give is anytime that I'm at home with nothing to do and I'm bored, I find myself in the kitchen all the time. But if I'm busy during the day and I'm, meeting with friends and going to the grocery store and even just running errands or spending time with myself outside the house, busy, I find that, I really eat when I'm hungry, and that's the amount that my body is supposed to be eating, if that makes any sense. And I don't want this to turn into something that people copy in order to get any sort of result. I'm just trying to explain why I think the binge eating stopped for me. Another really big reason why I think that I really stopped struggling with binge eating as much is because reality hit me in May. a lot of you know already, but my grandfather passed away. And that was a really hard time for me and my family, and it still has been difficult. But essentially, I think that really coping with that sorrow and grief and getting in touch with that and letting myself feel those things really opened up for me a new appreciation for those really difficult feelings. And I have been, I think in the past 3 months, really leaning into those moments where I'm stressed, where I'm frustrated, angry, those feelings that don't feel good in the moment, and just letting myself feel those things, because I realized through the grieving process and mourning the death of my grandfather, I realized that it's okay to lean into that, and you feel so much more whole by doing that, rather than compartmentalizing your life and allowing yourself only to feel things for a short amount of time, or allowing yourself to only feel this at nighttime. And so just letting myself feel, you know, an ebb and flow and things like that. And that's something I've always preached on my blog, is you have good seasons and bad seasons. Life comes in waves, and sometimes they're really great and sometimes they're not. But it's important to be able to appreciate each day for what it is, each season for what it is, and continue to find joy in that. So I think that has a lot to do with how my perspective on eating really changed. And I found that I really don't reach for food anymore unless I'm hungry. And when I am hungry, I'm eating amounts that are large, because I'm not just snacking a little bit here and there throughout the entire day, but not feeling satisfied, if that makes any sense. So I think that emotionally and physically, those things are playing against each other and playing together. So yeah, and on top of that, I've been traveling a lot, and I realized that while I was traveling, I tried so many new things, but I also allowed myself to eat healthy when I wanted to. I think there's this pressure that if you go somewhere, you need to eat, you know, what they offer you, otherwise you're not appreciating the food and culture. But I think you can still appreciate food and culture through healthful foods. Every single cuisine, if you look at it, has that, so it has very high plant-based, high nutrition aspect of it. And so for me, being able to experience Chicago not only through things like ice cream and donuts and dessert and, you know, American food, but also being able to appreciate those small farm to table meals that were just really delicious but also wholesome. I think that really enlightened me in terms of how I want to travel in the future. And again, I think that's another reason why I didn't binge eat, because I didn't feel like, okay, this is the only time that I can eat this way, so I'm gonna just eat everything and anything I can get my hands on. So yeah, those are the reasons really why I feel like I don't struggle as much. And that's not to say I don't overeat, and I do still think I compulsive eat, especially during my period. When I'm not aware of the fact that I'm craving something, I just keep eating and eating, and it's mindless, but I'm able to stop it right there, and therefore that's why I don't consider it a binge per se. So yeah, I just hope that this helps you guys in any way, shape, or form. And I want to remind you guys that, again, like, dieting is not how you should achieve anything in life. Dieting just is not fun. It doesn't work. It's not good for you. Dieting is not something I believe in, and you all know that. And in terms of fitness too, I haven't really been running more or working out more. I've just been more active and doing things that fulfill me and bring me a lot of joy. Because yes, running brings me joy, working out brings me joy, but at the end of the day, so do other things. So yeah, I just hope you guys have something to take away from this, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. But like I said, no, yes, I have probably lost some weight, but no, it wasn't necessarily intentional, and it wasn't because of decisions that I make during my life. It's because of the balance, I think, that I've really struck physically and somewhat emotionally. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.